Let's look at what happens to the relationship between price and quantity when we change Bob's income. We've seen already that Bob has a relationship between the price of hamburgers and the quantity that he consumes per week. We looked at these tables last time, and we imagined, although I didn't say so, that Bob's income was $500 per week. Now, if Bob gets a bigger income, he's going to change his behavior. Let's suppose that Bob's income goes up to $600 a week. If it does, we might expect that Bob would spend more money on hamburgers than before. Let me replace the old set of numbers with the new set. This is Bob's behavior when the income that he earns goes up to $600 per week. In this case, we see that although he still buys no hamburgers at a price of $5 a piece, he'll now buy one when the price drops to $4.50. And then each time the price drops by 50 cents, he'll add one more hamburger to his weekly consumption, so that by the time we get down to $1 per hamburger, Bob's buying 8 hamburgers a week. That is, some days he's eating more than one. Let's now represent this new set of data in the graph that we originally drew. I'll go now back to my two-dimensional diagram with the quantity of hamburgers on the horizontal axis and the price at which hamburgers are selling on the vertical axis. Let's look at this new relationship between price and quantity, the numbers that are now in the table beside me. Let me take my pen and chart these numbers. We can see that now at a price of $5, Bob buys no hamburgers. So the intercept of our term, that is the lowest price at which Bob buys 0 hamburgers, has moved up. The intercept has moved up to $5. At a price of $4.50, Bob now actually buys a hamburger. So we have a point like this, $4.50 and 1 hamburger. At a price of $4, Bob is now buying 2 hamburgers. So we have a point like this, a combination of the price of $400 and the quantity of 2. At a price of $3.50, Bob is now buying 3 hamburgers. So I have the price $3.50, $3, the price of $3.50 and the quantity of 3, represented by this point, and so forth. Every time the price drops by 50 cents, Bob buys 1 more hamburger than he bought before. As we keep moving down to lower prices, we get larger quantities. We still have the same negative relationship between price and quantity. That is, we have the negative slope, the same negative relationship, but the numbers are now different. Here, down at a price of $1, Bob is buying 8 hamburgers per week. I can connect the dots now and form Bob's new demand curve. And let me do that with this new information. I'm going to use my straight edge here to try to draw things carefully. There's no point in being imprecise if I have all the information that I need to be precise. And here's Bob's new demand curve. The new demand curve, which I might label D prime, and the prime, or the apostrophe, just means a new relationship to compare to the old relationship. The new relationship between price and quantity has the same slope as the old curve. That is, notice the curves are parallel. For every 50-cent increase in the price, Bob still reduces the quantity of hamburgers that he buys by 1. So the rise over the run is still negative 50 cents. We've got the same slope. And sometimes we'll represent that by putting 2 marks on these curves, and the 2 marks mean that they have the same slope. They are parallel. The formula for this new curve is going to be given as follows. The price on the new curve is equal to the intercept, which is $5, minus the slope of 50 cents times the quantity of hamburgers, times the quantity of hamburgers that's consumed. The formula for the new line is going to be price is equal to $5, that's our intercept, minus 50 cents, the slope, times the quantity of hamburgers consumed. This is the relationship if Bob's income increases to $600. We might think of this as the curve shifting outwards. If we wanted to represent our original demand curve like this, then with the increase in income, we get a new set of points that moves the demand curve outwards. You can think of this as a shift in the curve. Let's look at another set of numbers. Now suppose that Bob's income drops from $600 a week back to a lower income of $400 a week. In that case, what's going to happen to Bob's consumption? Well, here's a table of numbers that represents the number of burgers that Bob consumes if his income is $400. And let's look at these numbers together. What we see is that at an income of $400, Bob is not going to buy a hamburger until the price drops to $3.50. That's the price at which he is first willing to purchase burgers. Then, as the price falls by 50 cents, he'll buy another one, and so forth and so forth. And when the price gets down to $1 a week, and when the price gets down to $1 per hamburger, Bob will buy 6 hamburgers per week. So in this case, we can see that at a lower income, Bob will buy fewer hamburgers at every price. Let's represent this set of numbers, which I'll move over to the box, on the graph. Going back to our diagram, with the price on the vertical axis and the quantity on the horizontal, if the number of burgers that Bob buys a week falls because of the decline in his income, we get a new set of points. Notice now that Bob will not buy any hamburgers when the price is $4 a week. So we can put a dot here at $4.00 to represent Bob's behavior with the lower income. This is going to be the new intercept, the lowest price at which Bob buys no hamburgers. If the price drops down to $3.50, Bob will buy his first hamburger. So we get a dot like this. If the price drops down to $3 a hamburger, Bob will buy 2 hamburgers. We get a dot like this, and so forth. Just go through and fill in the numbers from the chart. $2.50 gets us 3 hamburgers. A price of $2 gets us 4 hamburgers. A price of $1.50 gets us 5 hamburgers. A price of $1 gets us 6 hamburgers per week, and so forth. Now, if I want to connect these numbers, I can form the new demand curve for Bob at the lower income. So let me connect these dots. And when I do, I get a new demand curve. And this one we could represent by d double prime. Again, the primes just remind us we have a new relationship or a new set of points. And again, it's going to have the same slope. All 3 of these lines are parallel. One of them represents Bob's behavior when income is high. One represents Bob's behavior when income is in the middle, $500. And finally, the third represents Bob's behavior when income is low. The slope in all 3 cases, that is the rise over the run, is going to be the same. But the intercept is different. And that's what gives us these parallel shifts. This third relationship can be summarized by the equation: the price is equal to $4, that is the vertical intercept, minus the slope of 50 cents, times the quantity of hamburgers that Bob consumes each week. In this case, we have a lower intercept. The curve is closer to the origin, but it has the same slope as before. So, notice the difference between the 3 curves is their intercepts. The first curve is the one that's in the middle with an intercept of 450. The second curve is this one right here with a higher intercept. And the third curve is the one with the lower intercept. Each of these 3 is a relationship between price and quantity for Bob. The difference is in the income. And when the income changes, we get a whole new relationship between price and quantity.